The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. An SWS survey shows that vaccine hesitancy in the country dropped further by the last quarter of 2021. The survey conducted from December 12 to 16 found that only 8% of adult Filipinos are unwilling to get vaccinated against COVID-19. That is lower than the 18% in September and the 21% in June. Only 6% of Filipinos are uncertain about getting the vaccine. That's down from the 19% back in September and the 24% from June of last year. The survey also found that some 50% of Filipinos have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. 35% of those who remain unvaccinated said that they are willing to get the shot. Some pregnant women are struggling to have access to health services as the surge pushes hospitals to prioritize patients with COVID-19. Ryan Ang with the details.
35-year-old Alma is about to give birth this April. But instead of excitement, Alma is worried over the COVID-19 situation when her due date comes. She fears that if the number of COVID cases continue to surge, her family will have a hard time finding a hospital where she could give birth. Alma also admits having a hard time going to checkups.
Madami po nang dadaan ng proseso. Like for example, kailangan magpa-swab test. Time na pandemic, halos lahat ng buntis hindi basta-basta makakapasok. By appointment pa, at saka punuan, hindi lang sa mga buntis, para sa mga may sakit na COVID na maaaring may chance na pwedeng mahawa kayong mag-ina.
Alma gave birth to her first baby in 2019. And they planned on having their second baby once the pandemic is over. But because they have no access to family planning services, Alma got pregnant last September.
Natakot, at the same time masaya, para blessing to eh. Kaya lang nakakatakot, hindi lang para sa sarili ko, kundi para sa baby ko. Bala ko talaga mag-family planning. Yung implant sana para 3 years ang tagal. Kaya lang ang problema po, sa sobrang hirap magpa-schedule, tapos nag-try kami sa center, wala namang parating available. More on talagang inuuna nila yung mga para sa COVID.
Based on the projections of the Commission on Population and Development, or POPCOM, the population growth rate will increase this pandemic as the crisis will affect health and family planning services. But instead of increasing, the growth rate reached its lowest in 75 years. The population last year only increased by more than 300,000, which means only 1.1 million babies were born and more than 700,000 individuals died.
The last time we had that kind of population growth was in the post-war era of World War II, 1946 to 1947. We have been consistently adding more than 1 million to the population every year.
Like Alma, a lot of women are afraid of getting pregnant during the pandemic. There are also other factors that prevent couples from conceiving at this time. These include depression, anxiety, and the lack of space and time to procreate due to the effects of the pandemic. The expert also notes that millennials tend to be more responsible in planning for their families.
The sexual intimacy is being taken aside because there are a lot of issues that you have to deal with. So hinayaan mo na yung pagigigil. Ang pagigigil para makapagkaroon na ka ng pagkain, araw-araw, may trabaho ka. The mindset is that kung wala akong pera, kung magkakaroon ako ng anak, how can I take care of that?
For News 5, Ryan Ang, We Are One News.
Other vice presidentiables are blasting Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte's proposal to make military service mandatory for the youth. Dale De Vera has the story.
If elected Vice President, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte would like to take a page from Israel and South Korea. She proposes to make military training mandatory for those aged 18 and above.
Na hindi po ROTC lang na isang subject o isang weekend o isang buwan sa isang taon. You will be given a subsidy. you will be asked to serve our country doon sa ating armed forces of the Philippines.
Mandatory military training was scrapped in 2002 after the controversial killing of University of Santo Tomas cadet Mark Tsua. Inday Sara's proposal did not sit well with her fellow VP aspirant, former lawmaker Walden Bello. In a tweet, Bello said that Sara is just like his father, President Duterte, who wants to arm people and kill. He said Sara is a dictator in waiting. In her retort, Sara said that the military service would inspire patriotism and prepare the youth for disasters and rescue operations. Apart from the said program, Duterte's unity with presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos also unveiled its senatorial ticket. Included in the list are Senators Sherwin Gatchalian and Juan Miguel Zubiri, as well as Deputy Majority Floor Leader Loren Legarda, former cabinet officials Harry Roque, Mark Villar, and Gilbert Chodoro, celebrity politicians Jinggoy Estrada and Herbert Bautista, Representative Rodante Marcoleta, and Marcos loyalist and lawyer Larry Gadon.
Ang aming ipinaglalaban ay mapagbuklod-buklod natin ang kakayahan at ang galing at ang sipag at ang bait ng Pilipino.
The coalition on Wednesday also bragged about getting the support of 11 mayors in Camarines Sur during a meeting in Makati. Cam Sur is a known bailiwick of Marcos's strongest competitor, Vice President Leni Robredo. But on Thursday, two of the mayors denied this. In a Facebook post, Milaor Mayor Anthony Reyes said his president is indeed BBM, meaning babaeng bikula ng maganda. Reyes said the meeting was supposed to be just a meeting for the League of Municipalities, but Marcos's ally and LMP National President Chavin Singson said otherwise.
Nobody forced them. Sila mismo nagvoluntary na pupunta. Alam nila na pupunta kami doon. At maski bumaliktad sila, I can respect them.
For News 5, Dale De Vera, We're One News.
Senator Risa Ontiveros is likewise speaking up against the younger Duterte's proposal for mandatory military service. The re-electionist lawmaker told the chiefs that the proposal is, quote, misplaced and not broad enough for what Sara Duterte wants to achieve. Ontiveros says she has nothing against youth development and nation building, but she just doesn't see mandatory military training as the way to achieve these things. And she said nation building can be better achieved by standing our ground against China in the West Philippine Sea dispute and by fixing what she calls an ongoing education crisis that is burdened with historical revisionism.
Siguro mas mag-a-appeal sa mas marami pang kabataan at mga mamamayan ay, for example, i-roll back natin ang historical revisionism, no? Kumpletuhin natin ang pagtuturo ng history at marami pang asignatura sa isang reformed at modernized na education system na ngayon, in fact, lalo na dahil sa pandemya, is laboring under the call of education advocates to declare, in fact, an education crisis.
The Commission on Elections has begun printing local absentee voting ballots as of last night. This was confirmed by COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez, and Jimenez also said that about 79,000 office for overseas voting manual ballots will be printed next week, followed by approximately 86,000 BARM ballots. Unlike regular election ballots, LAV, OFOV, and BARM ballots are all manual ballots, which means they have no pre-printed candidate names. Help has poured in for 84-year-old Lolo Nardo in Pangasinan after he was detained for allegedly stealing mangoes from a neighbor's tree. But that neighbor insists what Lolo Nardo did was wrong. Marian Enriquez tells us why.
This bench has been Lolo Nardo's home for the past week. He has been in detention for allegedly stealing 10 kilos of mangoes from his neighbor. Sympathy poured overnight for 84-year-old Lolo Nardo Flores of Asingan, Pangasinan. Lolo Nardo is single and lives with his brother and nieces. He said a buyer asked him to pick mangoes from the tree for 1,000 pesos.
Apay nga kinayat yung impapitas, impaburas, dayjay nga mangga. Apay nga pinaburas yo.
Okay, naigatang timakan.
Wala daw kasi pambili ng
Baga, nagatagan na ang amin na makan, kaya may umilad sa pulan may.
He says his father planted the mango tree. It's just that the new caretaker built a wall beside it.
Tungtong ko, hindi na kaya naayosay na. Mula nila niya, hindi nagalan na sinakop na.
The complainant's family, meanwhile, insisted that they were the ones who planted the mango tree.
Po yung kuya ko, siya po mismo yung nagtanim, sir. Paano po magiging sa kanya? May alad na po siya. Bago pa, mayroong mangga.
They said they have been talking to Lolo Nardo. They're willing to withdraw the case if only Lolo Nardo was apologetic. They also want a public apology from netizens after all the bashing they have received.
Kawawa naman po yung father ko, mabuti pong tao yung father ko. Tapos may pagbabanta pa sa father ko.
The incident happened last April 2021, but since the two camps did not settle in the barangay, the case went up to the court until the prosecutor found a probable cause for theft. Lolo Nardo failed to file a counter affidavit, and an arrest warrant was served last January 13. Lolo Nardo's family had a hard time to pay the 6,000 bail. The police themselves chipped in for Lolo Nardo to post bail.
Nakakadurog po ng puso, ma'am. Kasi po, matanda na po siya. Imbis na gugulin na lang po niya yung oras niya po sa labas.
Lolo Nardo arrived at their home around 12 noon. Food packs with rice, bread, and canned goods also started to pour in. And though it's been a tough week, what's important for Lolo Nardo is he's finally home with his family. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. At least 4 areas have been escalated to alert level 4. These include Kalinga, Ifugao, Mountain Province, and Northern Samar. Unvaccinated residents are no longer allowed to enter indoor establishments in Cebu City. And Encanto's We Don't Talk About Bruno has dethroned Frozen's Let It Go as the highest charting song from a Disney animation. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 10:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.